YouTube, and your family, what's going on? Daniel here for another video. This one is, almost back to before throwbacks of just speaking to the camera. Somebody just told me to come and shoot one of these videos, something that was on my mind. I usually like to flow, but this is something that I feel needs to be talked about, and it's something that I feel a lot of people get wrong or maybe misunderstand in terms of how I got here or how anyone can get to this level in terms of spiritual and just learning how to live essentially. And it's something that is earned. You don't wake up and just start understanding and gaining the wisdom that I've been able to gain, of course, working with my brother Mike. And then the start of it really was Yados. He was someone I invested in last year in May, and I started with habits that he gave me. So the habits, I'll give you these, and if you do these habits, these are the way to get closer to God, for Him to find you, and for you to essentially start to gain understanding of how it is to live in peace, how it is to live in purpose, how it is to have faith, how it is to follow your spirit, how it is to have your inner child back, how it is to smile, enjoy life, how it is to have a whole different perspective as opposed to chasing feelings, believing you are your ego, believing you need to compare yourself to people, compete with people, believe the stories in your head. You're constantly stressed, you're constantly in fear, you're constantly doubting, you're constantly worrying. And these habits are non-negotiable. These are the habits that got me to the place where I was able to be disciplined enough and hit my ceiling to the point where I could have met my brother Mike now and get to the point I'm at now. But it's also where everyone needs to get to in order to access this. Like I said, it's called the 0.01% lifestyle for a reason, because the habits, if you're able to be consistent with those, that's like the entry point. It's like the admission fee to being able to get to this place. Work with me as well, because I will be helping people to get to this place where they remove the stories, like I said, remove the feelings, remove the lust. You stop being a prisoner to all these things external you think create you or give you permission to be who you are, and it's all fake. It's all just stories that the devil creates in you to stop you from finding your power, which is within, which is your spirit, which is all spiritual, and your frequency as well. Make sure this is on. Yeah. So yeah, it's the habits, like I'm gonna say, is the biggest thing. And if you aren't able to hit these habits for at least 3 months, I would say it's basically impossible for you to get to this level, because the level of understanding you need has to be gained from suffering. You have to suffer physically, mentally with the habits in order to access that other area, the spiritual area. And as well, I didn't address, I'm in red light because of the winter. You guys can see my winter protocol in another video. It's literally called Winter Protocol at the end, and just talks about essentially why you use the red light. But essentially, the habits, we'll get to those, is number one, waking up before 5 every day. So when I say every day, it means if it's your birthday, if it's your mom's birthday, if it's your sister's birthday, if it's Christmas, if it's New Year's, if it's your favorite artist, a concert is playing, whatever it is, the day after, you wake up before 5. Like I said, I don't care what the situation is, if it's emergency, unless it's, something where you have a literally emergency, you can still work around it. But there's really no excuse. Like I was, I still haven't missed my bedtime, but I mentioned in other videos, I slept for 45 minutes and still woke up. Thank God for the day. Went for a walk, even though it was basically not functioning. But the whole point is the discipline of having a wake up time and sticking to it. Like I said, no matter what, it's every single day. It's not like Monday to Saturday and Sunday's off, because everyone's off on Sunday and it's a time to relax. So every day, every single day, do that for 3 months. Number two is, this is probably the biggest one, but the one that just came to mind second is no vices. So no vices, meaning if you currently drink, stop. no drinking alcohol at all, not even drop, not even one drop, um, for 3 months. Well, beyond, but do it for 3 months. And when you do the habits, don't say I'm going to do it for 3 months. Say I'm going to stop drinking, because that's something that the devil can play with you and say, oh, you're just doing it for 3 months, so um, you give yourself like a way out. So say I'm going to stop drinking, do that. If you have an issue with smoking cigarettes, if you have an issue with smoking weed, if you have an issue with doing drugs on weekends, Molly, ecstasy, whatever it is, if you go to events with DJs and you're going to meet women there and try to pick up girls and one night stands and all the things that I used to do, that's done. It's finished. So that's a vice. Vice is casual sex. A vice is pills to listen to a DJ. A vice is going to parties to get a feeling from whatever is the environment, the girls there, the people you're meeting, the energy you think is real. It's just a feeling. It's not. There's no high frequency in nightclubs or whatever it is. It's low frequency, very low frequency actually. Once you get out, you realize how low frequency it is. But yeah, that's done. So no vice. Like I said, if you have an issue with gambling, that is done. If you have an issue with whatever it is that you're addicted to and give a feeling to and you think you need, and you lie yourself to yourself about, like, oh, I like alcohol because it tastes good, or I like alcohol because it brings me together with my family or my friends, and whatever it is, lies, stories. The devil's telling you, balance and let go and having fun. That's all stories. It's fake. So that's removing that. Second, removing vices. Like I said, it could be smoking, drinking, drugs, gambling, yeah, casual sex. All these things that you do repetitively to get a feeling from is a vice. Give me dessert. If you have dessert, after every meal, something like that, that's turns into a vice. So remove all of that. That's only the second one. So 1 and 2, doing those. Then comes tracking your food. So tracking your macros every single day. Using MyFitnessPal, you track your food. You have, you go to macro calculator and you calculate your macros, based on your height, your weight, your age, your activity level. And we're gonna get to activity level after, but you track and see how many calories you have to have based off, you cutting. So in the beginning, you have to get basically defined as cut as possible, as lean as possible, because it's, like I said, a way to suffer, a way to really connect with God. And you're putting your body through that constant suffering of being underfed, you could say. You're cutting, you're always hungry. It's that removing the flesh, the dependency on the flesh, of listening to that feeling of hunger, or listening, just falling for the feelings that the flesh trying to give you of, oh, I need food, like these stories. It's all just from releasing the stories. So with the suffering of that, that's how you get past that. That's the third thing, macros. Fourth thing is training in the gym every single day. So I mean, every single day, it's no rest days. Every single day. And of course, you're going to be smart with this. You're not going to go till failure, but the whole point is for the discipline of going to the gym every single day. So, like I said, I don't care if you're in Bali, if you're in Vegas, if you're in Spain, if you're in Morocco, if you're in Singapore, you go to the gym every single day. You find a gym, you wake up, whatever time it is there, time zone difference, if you're traveling, whatever it is, you wake up before 5 in that time zone you're in. You wake up, and first thing you do is go train, go to the gym. So you can do burpees. That's another one as well. Burpees is that would be the fourth thing, no, fifth thing. So fifth thing is burpees every single day. That's your HIIT workout. That's your second, your round 2. If you don't, maybe your gym opens late wherever you are, or some countries have gyms that open later, 9 a.m., 10 a.m. So like I said, if you're waking up before 5, 5 the latest, but before 5 I would recommend like 4:50. You could even do 4:55. Just get into the habit of that. But if you're waking up that time and the gyms aren't open, you can do burpees. So it's a minimum of 100 burpees. I did 150 when I was starting. So I said every single day. I started probably late last year and I didn't miss. So I had a whole year of trips as well. So I was doing did Puerto Rico. I did doing Jamaica. I was doing Jamaica. So I was doing Puerto Rico, and here as well, just like not missing. not missing my thing. So I did that for 4 or 5 months, like just everyday gym, everyday burpees, every day tracking my food, um, wake up time every day, and no vices, of course. So in the beginning, I'll be honest with you, I was very bad with the lust part of it. So you still kind of go out and still kind of dabble in events and DJs, and the drugs was pretty easy to remove, but the whole thing of like going out to the environment and getting those temptations, I had to remove that. That was removed, let's say, later last year. Um, but once I removed that, that was like when I hit just a different level. But that's the fifth thing. So I said the fifth thing is burpees. So burpees every day, training every day. Um, the sixth one is reading a self-development book. So as soon as you get up, you're going to, go wash your face, brush your teeth, whatever it is, and then you're going to either go to the gym right away, do a HIIT workout, or read a self-development book. You'll eventually get to the Bible, but self-development book is anything from Napoleon Hill. Recommend that. So Outwitting the Devil. You could say Think and Grow Rich. The Positive Mindset. The one about positive mindset. Positive Mental Attitude. Something about positive mental attitude. Napoleon Hill. Those three books. You could read those to start off with. Eventually, you'll be able to go to the level where you're reading the Bible like I do every day. But step by step. This is the most important thing: is go step by step. If you have a lifestyle that's completely opposite and you're just lost in vices and women, and I'm speaking to men here, but maybe you're a woman, you're lost in just a night scene and late nights and just drinking, smoking, just destroying your body. You have to go step by step. Remove the biggest one. Maybe it's smoking, maybe it's drinking. The biggest vice you have, remove that one, and you go step by step. And then maybe wake up at 11 p.m. almost every day because you're partying. You go to 8 a.m., then 7, then 6, then 5. You get it, step by step. You're not trying to change your whole life in one, thing. Then you're not going to do it. You have to go step by step, then you build your way up there. But so yeah, the self-development book is key. So reading, a few pages of that. You can do half an hour. You can do 15 minutes. The Bible, I do a few pages, but that's that's when you get to that level. But when you're starting out, that's the key. And then the other one is reflecting. So you're going to reflect on what you read. So if you read Napoleon Hill, whatever it is, whatever thing you got, information some line you got, or sentence, or paragraph, you reflect on that. You write, like you're just going to react to something you're reading, and you're going to reflect and just how you're going to apply that. I right now, my reflections are just speaking with God, but like I said, this is step by step getting there. You don't compare yourself to me or someone else or whatever it is. It's where you are, and then slowly incrementally adding these things, and that's when you get to earn the spiritual level, you could say, because it's earned. It's not just given. You don't just wake up, start reading the Bible. Like people believe I woke up this way one day to the next, but like I said, the reason I'm making this video is to show you guys how I got here through the suffering, through the things I did every day to eventually hit that ceiling, and then I got there. So I listed 6-7 things there. The other one is, this one is key, but many people don't do it, because I know people that have the habits through the mentorship I was in, but they don't do this part. And this is probably the biggest thing that's gotten me here, is documenting. Number one, and this goes with it, is speaking, telling your story online. So when you're going this way, maybe like I said, you have whatever your journey is. Maybe you're very lost in vices, maybe you're kind of lost, maybe you're aligned somewhat, but you have to start speaking and telling people who you are. Like, let's say your name is Carlos. My name is Carlos, and just start speaking, telling people who you are. I'm going to start waking up at 7 a.m. because the past 4 years I've been waking up at 11 a.m. because I'm a club promoter, and I'm actually not a promoter. I just do it as a way to meet women. And you start being honest, being authentic. That's how you start raising your frequency, and also almost having something that keeps you accountable. Because if you're not doing it, you're trying to do it in the shadows and just post little things here and there. It's very lost for you. It's very easy for your ego to create stories as to why you're doing it, what's the reason why, blah 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 blah. But you have to keep yourself accountable somehow. Your friends maybe at this point aren't going to keep you accountable. They don't have the habits, don't even want the habits, don't believe, don't. What's the point of waking up at 5? They just don't find a reason. But you came across this video for a reason, and that is, to connect more with God, that you're coming up, also with yourself. But you're gonna have to find ways in the beginning, because right now it's in the beginning, it's gonna be you and your ego, going, toe for toe essentially, until you hit that ceiling, and then God will find you. Or, you're doing the things and he finds you somehow. But for me, I hit a ceiling where I just couldn't go anymore. And then I met my brother Mike, and that's when we just took it to another level. But yeah, these are the habits I had, I listed, and I did miss for, 3-4 months. And then, I had my encounter with God. And like Jesus literally found me on a beach doing burpees, and told me the path I was on was the right path. And it was emotional, and I had very many moments where like I just got this feeling, this overwhelming feeling that like, it's more than me and my mind and my ego. But back to the point, the habits are the most important thing. So I listed, I believe, 8 there. So the documenting, like I said, so that is what's going to set you free. So like I said, you are trying to release yourself from your ego. That is what the point of the habits are. Because if it's just you doing it behind closed doors, you're gonna let the ego come in and create stories and say, this and that, and what is the point? Let me make sure this is still on. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, what is the point? And essentially just creating stories, like I said, that you're trying to avoid. So he's gonna say like, why are you still doing this? Blah 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 blah. But when you're speaking and you're putting yourself out there, you're keeping, number one, yourself accountable. Number two, you're giving faith, because you're showing your journey. You're showing how you're changing. You're showing you going from maybe having a belly or being unfit, or maybe being too skinny, to going to the gym every day. You're going to get to the point where you can start doing that, but you're going to start transforming yourself in front of people. So you start giving faith. So, and then on top of that, third thing is you're telling your story. So you're telling people, where you came from before. This is day one. My name is Carlos, and yesterday, just start being honest where you're coming from. So you have your path, and you're going down a different path, and you start speaking and sharing your truth. And this one is the most important one, because in the beginning, the things you have to share, you're not going to want to share. So you're going to have things that the devil's going to start using against you. That's when you start getting, you can literally jump and leap, spiritual faster, you can say, when you start realizing it's all a spiritual battle. But you start to do the habits, stuff like that, but you still feel a bit off. You're like, I don't feel the best. It's because you still have these things that you're holding on to, these stories, these, things that maybe you're ashamed of and are lower your frequency when you think about them. But essentially you have shame and guilt that are there, that are stuck, the devil uses against you. What it begins to do is tell your stories. So it could be anything from, hey guys, this is my first video on YouTube, and I've been doing the habits, but to be honest, I feel like texting my ex-girlfriend, and this is my ex-girlfriend, and this is why I have these feelings towards her. Like, start speaking, and essentially you're speaking to yourself. It's not even to the camera, but you start speaking almost in a mirror, but it just happens to be a camera there. And you're doing that because you're giving the ammunition that the devil can use against you to the world. I have various videos on my YouTube. You hear me speaking about, my ex-girlfriend, trauma, you could say, with my dad. Number two, my inner child, in a recent video, like me basically crying and speaking about, how I find the answer spiritually. Not found the answer, but found what was blocking me, and various different things. Everything. Oh, another one, when I moved into my dad's house for a bit, I'm currently in his basement unit. And I was like shamed. I was like, oh, I need to have my own thing somewhere else downtown Toronto, so people can see me in this like expensive place, and all these things the ego is trying to tell me. So I shot that and made a video saying, hey guys, this is where I'm at, just unfiltered, raw, and you could see the mess and everything like that. But if I was allowing my ego to take over, I'd be like, oh, I have to clean up, and like I can't make a video, and the way I look, and what are they going to say, and my dad's place, and all these things. It's all fake. But essentially, like I said, you're gonna have videos depending on whatever your situation is. Maybe you have an experience that you don't want to speak about, that you're ashamed of, maybe, you know, whatever it is. You have your story. Everyone has their own story. You speak it to the world, and that is what's going to begin to set you free as you're doing the habits. So, you're documenting your habits. You're telling the world who you are. And third, you start, releasing, you could say, your devils to the world. And then the other one's giving faith as you're doing it. So this is like key, because the cameras just shrink. If you have a fear of public speaking, like most people do, if you put a camera on you, it has a chance to go to the world. Like, this video can reach millions of people. And you have the ability with the internet to do that, with YouTube, Instagram. You can even do TikTok, whatever you feel best suits you. But you have the ability to speak and put it out there, and then, like I said, give people faith. People that watch your video, watch this video, can watch another video, has to give them faith to show them how it can change. So I'm giving you the habits that will literally get you closer to God. Like, if I didn't have these habits and wasn't consistent for the months that I was consistent, and then year plus with various habits, some had to be adjusted, of course, because you can't work out every single day. At the beginning, it's for the discipline, but of course you have to recover and stuff like that. But in the beginning, you have to go every single day, especially if you're fat, especially if you have no discipline and you just go once a month, or once every few weeks, or no, once every few months. You have to do it it's not for the body at all. It's for the discipline of it. It's for the mentality, the building that person. But those habits are, like I said, those are the habits you do every single day. Like, the training, the burpees, the macros, no vices, waking up before 5, documenting, doing a story, hey guys, gym or whatever it is, speaking to the camera. That's going to be a habit I would say is key. Speaking to the camera, not just doing little, like, oh, gym and then food, and then like, you have to speak and tell your story, be authentic, be real. That's how you begin to raise your frequency. Because if you're not speaking, you're essentially letting fear control you in your growth. Like I said, the cameras just shrink. Every time I speak into the camera and let out anything that was on my mind, I've grown. And the devil knows that, so he's gonna tell you, don't do that, and he's gonna convince you with your ego, like how you're gonna look and what are people gonna say and all these things. But like I said, it's the element of faith you're giving to the people, and also setting yourself free, because this journey of life that we're on is setting yourself free. Like I said, you have all the answers when you're a kid, when you're born, because you have your spirit. But as time goes on, you start to get programming, fears from different people in your family, maybe friends, whatever it is. They start to program and instill fear in you. So you create stories, and your ego holds on to these stories. But essentially, you're starting to release these things, and you're gonna have moments where it's emotional. You start to cry. You start to feel weird for no reason. Like, why am I sad? And like, why am I grateful all of a sudden when I used to not be appreciative of people in my life? Like, that was moments I had, but it was because of the habits. It was because of suffering and releasing and releasing all these devils that I didn't know were there, because I was not at that level to understand it. But now I am. And looking back, this is what I've seen help me, not missing. The whole goal in this path, and if you follow this video, is don't think about, oh, the money, or why am I doing, is this for to get rich, or you're starting to think of external things. The whole goal every single day is not missing the habits. That is your whole goal. I didn't think about if I do this, am I going to get a Lamborghini? Or in the beginning I did it for money, but then I realized it's my coach at the time, Yados, was saying it's for the process. It's to enjoy who you are, and growing. So I was still focused on why am I doing this? Where's the money and stuff like that. But eventually, back to the point, you begin to build yourself into a person you admire and respect. And with reflections, begin to change, and you can speak about yourself, how you begin to grow into your own, and raise your frequency. And when you remove the vices, you remove the element of lowering your frequency with the shame and guilt. Because every time you are in a vice, you overdrink or you smoke, you don't feel good after. People say, oh, it's the feeling. They do feel the feeling in the moment. But when I was doing drugs all weekend, years ago, I didn't feel proud. I didn't go in the mirror and be like, yo, crazy, I'm in power, I'm Daniel, look at me, look at me. I was just looked in the mirror and just felt this is this it? Is this what I'm gonna do the rest of my life? So It's about doing things for your frequency, not feelings. It's a whole different video, but the whole point is these are the habits that are going to connect you to the next level, the spiritual level. Like I said, this is to show what I had to go through. You can even make this a masterclass if you want, but these are the habits that if you do these consistently, God will find you. He will see you suffering like he saw me suffering on a beach, not missing my habits, doing burpees, filming it, documenting it, and then, tracking my food. I was super cut at the time, super lean, had abs, was shredded. And, he saw the things I was doing for him, waking up, and you connect to God, because you're removing all the external distractions, the vices, and these people and those people. Like, you begin to find your energy and your frequency. And that is when you begin to, just hit a ceiling. Like, it's just normal, you know and then from there, it's the physical, the mental, and then comes the spiritual. But these are the habits that I'm giving you that got me there. Do it for 3 months. Don't put a time frame, but just do it. Don't think about what's going to happen, or like, why should I keep doing it, or like, I don't see anything external, like what's changing. Just don't question it, have faith. And this also builds your faith to go spiritual. So you have to have faith in the process, having faith that this is going to grow you, have faith that you're going to be able to finally be in power, as opposed to just reacting to feelings and things, and the things that you think you are and like you have to have, because society tells you it's about money, or no, it's about girls, no, it's about a car, no, it's about. So you're just all over the place. You don't even know who you are. This whole thing is finding who you are, then God will find you, and then you get more in power, and then it's just a relationship that you can build with the source, with wisdom, with eternal infinite intelligence, with God, the one who brought you here, the one who gave you, purpose and flesh so you can experience life, and your spirit so he gives you the map so you can follow the map, as opposed to just, like I said, living for the world and thinking it's about money and this and that and fake things, just stories. You're living for stories that the ego is telling you to do. So you're putting yourself in a place with habits to become a vessel for God, like we're all destined to be. And then from there, you can start adding different things. But I want to give you guys the things that I did. So whenever people question and say, oh, or believe I just one day to the next, just woke up and, was spiritual, and, I started reading the Bible and I only understood these things because I hit a ceiling, a level, and then I had to go spiritual. So, this is for those that really want, and, their frequency is so low that they're just in shame and guilt all the time because of their habits or the things they do, the vices. You're just out every weekend and trying to sleep with girls and drugging yourself and taking pills and, alcohol, and you're just lost in lust, and you're like, you don't like your existence, or you don't like who you are. This video is for you, and this is the way to find God. And your ego may not like it right now, but it's what's going to set you free. And like I said, this whole thing is setting you free, setting your inner child free, and that's how you grow. So that is what I want to give, you guys. You could say it's the habits masterclass, but this is, you could say the first phase of my coaching I want to help people with, because like I said, this is the way to set yourself free. This is the first phase of, finding, peace, removing the stories, learning how to live, being the 0.1% in terms of how you live, and it's once you get to this level where it's spiritual, you can't stop, because it stops being about you and your ego and, what it could be and what it might be. Stop listening to stories, and you realize it's because God. You just align yourself and realize it's for God. Thank him for everything. So like I said, everyone has their own story. Everyone's going to have their different relationship with him. It's also not about trying to find a religion and like, how do I connect with him? If you have a relationship with your father at home, do you go to, groups of people and ask them how they speak to their dad? No, you just speak to your father. The same thing with, God, Jesus, the Lord. You just speak to him directly. He's going to speak to you. Like I said, you're going to have moments where he finds you, and you're going to have signs. But it's a whole different video. But you're going to have signs of him saying, showing you like numerology, different things that happen, like, coincidences, but are actually signs. Like, these things start happening, but you have to get to that place where you can, understand and have the perspective for it. But this is, what got me to where I am now. And, this is also clarifying that you don't just wake up one day and start reading the Bible and, understanding things about spirituality and how to live. It's step by step. So wherever you are now, it's perfect because it's supposed to be that way because God doesn't make mistakes, and He made you for a reason. He gave you, certain things for a reason. But now it's, starting to repent and find that your power actually come from unifying yourself with God, with the habits, as opposed to unifying yourself with God, with the devil and vices and feelings and stories and the ego and things you think are real and thought believe were real the whole time, your whole life, but are actually fake. So that is what I want to give you guys. We'll see what the title of the video is, but I believe it's going to be, how to find God in 2026 or beyond. But, not going to think about it. It's going to come, but this is something that was just on my mind and I had to give people because, yeah, it's time for me to begin to help, men or women remove the lust and the things that they think are real to find the peace that I've been able to find and the alignment and the power within myself and all these different things. And, I always give credit to where it's due. My brother, Mike, I've been working with him for 7 months and I wasn't able to get this perspective and this joy and this peace within, this gratitude, if it's not for him. So, he may watch this video. I believe he will. So thank you, my brother, for all this. And we're just getting started. So, I believe we're saving souls with this. And, each one of us has our story. So his story is crazy. You can also, follow him, Life by Midi and MIDI, Life by MIDI. And or you can relate to mine as well. I have my story all over Instagram, even here on YouTube. But like I said, your story will give faith as long as you grow, don't miss, and then finally connect with the one who brought you here. So crazy. Love that I was able to get this out, and I'm gonna edit my Andrea Bocelli video. It's gonna come out after this, but this one had to come out, and I believe the quality will be good. It's just a red light, but it's perfect. But yeah, hope you guys got something from it. Appreciate you guys that stay till the end. And like I said, if you apply this, God will find you. Like this is like not even a doubt in my mind. Like this is just full faith, full belief, because that's how He found me. And it was just me not missing, not questioning, not letting the story stop me or like needing a result to keep going. It's just having faith in the habits I gave you that are just going to disconnect you from these things that you believe are real, and then God is going to be like, okay, I finally have my soldier back or my angel, and then that's when your purpose begins. So, like I said, if you stay till the end of the video, much love, appreciate you guys. More videos coming. You guys can also put the notification bell. I'm gonna put more videos, vlogs, whatever it is. I like these videos as well, so just get very empowered from these, get energy, because I make it and then I post it. I don't edit it and let time go by with it. So it's just like very aligned. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. If you till the end, like I said, God bless, like and subscribe. But in the meantime, as always, until next time, keep killing it.